Hello everyone, it's Melanie. Yeah, it's Melanie. So, I decided, I have made quite a few videos recently, and some of them I have even uploaded, but I didn't make them public. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but I thought the best way to kind of give you an update of the last couple of months, I looked at the date that I made the last video, which was, I think, May 2nd. And then I've gone through my most recent comp book journals and kind of marked things. And I have a stack of stuff that I can show you, kind of what I've been working on, what I've been up to for the last couple months since I haven't made a video. So, I think my last video was May 2nd. So, in this journal, which, I haven't put the end of the date there. May 2nd, that was April. So that would have been, this would have been the first entry that I had in my journal that you haven't seen. So I was just thinking I'd start there, and I'm going to kind of go through and see how many things I can show you, what I was doing at the same time. So, I mean, this was May the 4th. I wrote, I still can't believe there's a deadly virus going around, and most of the world is in quarantine. It's so very weird. So, journal about some other stuff. Cinco de Mayo. This is just kind of how I was feeling at the time. That I need to call Mama, that's my mother, but I don't want to talk. I want to talk to her, but I don't want to talk in general at all. This crap is getting to me. Okay, I feel like I'm alive, but I ain't living. That was May 5th. Okay, this is, I'm going to take these out as I go. I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing. If you're an Animal Crossing fan, which one of the things you might learn about me today is that I am actually an avid video game player. But I had to buy a Switch, and I bought a Switch Lite so that I could play the new Animal Crossing game. And this is what I was wearing in Animal Crossing that day. There was a fishing tournament. So I was wearing my water sandals because I was fishing, the hickory pants, which are like a denim with a striped tank, which I love striped shirts. I had my fishing pole, my pilot shades, and a denim cap. So that's what I looked like that day, May 5th, while I was playing Animal Crossing. Let's see. Okay, so this day, May 7th, I made a bunch of jelly prints while on a FaceTime with Mama. So I guess I did finally call my mom the next day or two. So this is my folder of jelly prints that I made that day. And I think I did this all day. A couple of things I did different from the other times that I've made jelly prints. Instead of using, well, this is a block printing paper, but I usually use cardstock, and this time I just used plain office paper because I wanted to tear them up and use them in collages. So I just used regular, office weight copy paper or whatever. And I have no idea how many are here, but I had a blast. I had to string up a clothesline in my room to hold them all. Anyway, I've been using them in, ooh, I love that one. I love it. I've been using them in collage and stuff, and anyway, there's some that are really cool, and there's some that I can't wait to tear apart. I didn't throw any away, but there's some that it was hard not to throw away, like that. That's ugly. Ooh, can't remember how I did that, but I'm loving that one. And I had some stencils. It's a little more multicolored. Anyway, so back in May 7th, I was making jelly prints on my jelly plate. Okay, so that was jelly print day. You haven't seen those. Incidentally, I also had Whataburger for dinner that day. It says, if you're curious. Okay. This is Animal Crossing, things I needed to do in my Animal Crossing town. Very important. Let me find a place to put that. This day I was feeling really introspective. This has been nagging me that I haven't been keeping up with my YouTube comments, but it kind of goes back to that whole I don't want to talk. This day I went on a walk, and I found, even though there's COVID, I was walking and I found this piece of foamy stuff on the ground, and I think that it must be I know it's a piece of packaging, but I'm wondering if maybe, you know, a phone or something, I don't know, went in there. Anyway, I found this on the ground on my walk, and when I got home I cleaned it really good, and then I mounted it on a piece of wood I found in the garage, and it makes an excellent stamp. It kind of looks, I don't know, kind of like a keyhole or something. Anyway, that's kind of fun. Found that on the ground and then made a stamp out of it. That's my daughter and I. We're up to May 12th. Okay, this day, we have a bunch of stuff in a storage unit that we desperately need to empty out. But I went to the storage unit to look for something, and I found all kinds of stuff I wasn't necessarily looking for, a lot of it being my high school and first 2 years of college art stuff. And I ended up bringing a lot of stuff home. Some of what I brought home was I found a giant pack I have, and I forgot I had it. It's like, I don't think it's watercolor paper, but it's pretty heavy. It's probably 130 pound, but it's an ivory colored deckled edge, and it's big sheets, you know, big like full sheet watercolor sheets. Anyway, I remember that my junior or senior year of high school, on the last day of school, our teacher was cleaning out the art closet, and she had it's a whole box of it. She found a box of it, and she was giving stuff away, and that's what I took. So anyway, I brought a bunch of that paper home, along with a lot of my artwork, and that's me in kindergarten, and that's me in high school. And what's so funny to me about this picture is that this is what my rooms, my art room and my sewing room, this is what they still look like. They're covered in junk and vintage and all kinds of stuff. I found this collage photo. I don't have this anymore. This was a really cool three-dimensional cardboard collage thing I did. That was like a Jackson Pollock inspired thing. But I brought this canvas home, and I made a copy of some of the wallpaper that I had put on it. It's got wallpaper all over it. Anyway, that was kind of a significant day for me because looking at all of my high school and early college art, I'm always searching for, it bothers me that I feel like I don't have a style. And this kind of made me realize, when I look back at my high school art and early college, it kind of made me realize, you know what, I do have a style. Because the stuff I do now that I don't like looks just like the stuff I did in high school and college. So I do have a style. I just don't like it. So it kind of got started, you know, it was fun in a way to go find all this stuff and look at it. But then in another sense, it kind of got me bummed out a little bit. And it got me to this stage. I've been thinking, uh-oh. So I really want to take Sabrina Ward Harrison's class, Liberate. It's a class that she teaches, a different page to, it's a class that she teaches on making a book. And I'll do I can do a whole nother video on that. But anyway, that's some just notes I took. This is a page from a different journal that I was working in. This is a copy. I've been doing this a lot. When I'm working in other journals and stuff, sometimes, or I make other artwork, I'll take a picture of it or scan it or whatever and put it in this journal, because this one's kind of like my chronological, what's happening, what's going on. So anyway, in the vein of that, Sabrina Ward Harrison, I had taken a long time ago, a bunch of pictures of things in my rooms and just stuff. So I made this little picture book of stuff that I've made and just things I love looking at. This is my shelf, one of my shelves in this room. This is some of my tops. I collect tops. When I go on vacation, I buy a top. This is a quilt I made. This is a painting I did, so just different stuff. And I started journaling in this, but then I didn't really like the direction it was going, but I still did like this page. So I copied that page and I copied the cover and I put them in here, and I haven't worked in this since. So that's gonna go over in that stack. And then I made another one of these, larger, and it's that paper that I found in my storage unit. And let's see. Oh, this I got stuck on the Prang watercolors. I have a set of Prang watercolors back when they used to be made in the US. And I have a set from the 60s, and then I have a set that's probably from the 90s, and both were made in the USA. And it made me want some more Prang, so I recently ordered a new set of Prang half pan, and now they're made in Mexico. But for an inexpensive student set of watercolors, these are highly pigmented, and I love them. So I have been using these like crazy instead of my good artist grade watercolors. There's no hot pink, so I did put some opera pink in a pan. The other cool thing that I discovered about the Prang sets is that even on Amazon, these come out. These are half pan, what they consider a half pan. You can order these individual pans on Amazon. They're like $1.50 or something. So once I run out of, I guess I really like using yellow. Once I run out of a color, I can order individual colors to refill my set. Anyway, I was kind of excited about that. That was fun. So this was me swatching those, and then I guess I was going to paint something with them, and then I haven't worked in this journal since then. Okay, so there's that. And let's see. So then I started sewing. So kind of long story about, I have gained some weight in the last couple of years, to the point that my clothes don't fit anymore. My pants don't fit. And especially because this is when it was getting warm outside. Where are we? Timer, there's no date on here, Melanie. May 19th, the middle of May, it's getting hot. I don't own a pair of shorts that I can actually button. And I don't want anybody to take this the wrong. I mean, I'm not obese. I'm not even truly overweight. If you look at the scale, according to the doctor, I'm not even overweight. But this year, I don't have a single pair of shorts that will button. I mean, I don't mean like, oh, they're a little bit tight. I mean, like this. They won't button. I can't even zip them up. Anyway, so I decided to make some clothes. So I really got on a sewing kick. For like 2 weeks, I was just sewing constantly. And I had discovered some pattern companies in New Zealand, and I loved their patterns. Anyway, so I got hooked on that, and I was sewing. I made this cute multi-tiered dress, and this fabric I bought in Los Angeles, and it's a rag and bone. Beautiful. It looks like denim, but it's like a rayon, cotton rayon. Anyway, I was sewing like crazy. So this is some of my notes on sewing and some of the stuff I was making. I ended up I needed elastic for some of the sleeves, like these sleeves and those sleeves there. So I needed elastic, and I went to Joann, and because of masks, boop, not a single, no usable elastic. So I couldn't find elastic. That was kind of frustrating. And then I wanted to make a pair of pants that required 1 1/4 inch elastic, and I couldn't find any 1 1/4 inch elastic. And I'm thinking to myself, who's buying 1 1/4 inch elastic to put on a mask? It's really weird. So this is a lot of stuff about sewing. My screen to me looks pink all of a sudden. I don't know what's happening. This day, this was May 19th, this day I read that Pier 1 is going to liquidate, and despite what you may think about the company Pier 1, I was an assistant textile buyer for Pier 1 for 7 years, and the best, within that 7 years that I was there, the company in its history experienced the very best years of the company's history were in those 7 years that I was there. And so when I was there, it was good. Everything was good. It makes me sad.
Hello, this is my journal. If we go from the beginning, got this page, and then that's my phone number, and then it says Shay's diary, and then here's this, and then there's this page, and then this page, and then I just did this one.
Yeah. Very nice, Shay. Thank you for that show and tell.
You're welcome.
What was I saying? Okay, I was saying that this just, Pier 1 completely going out of business. You know, they filed for bankruptcy back in February, but it's very sad to me because I have a history with the company. I was the assistant textile buyer. I did rugs, window treatment, chair cushions, papasan cushions, what was other stuff? I didn't do decorative pillows. There were 2 assistant textile buyers, 1 textile buyer, and I didn't do decorative pillows. She did that. I did just about everything else that was made out of textiles, except kitchen linens, because that was in the kitchen department. Anyway, I was kind of being nostalgic about that, and about the fact that Pier 1 is going to actually go away. Something else that went on in May, my father-in-law had been having trouble with some AFib issues, and my husband and my sister-in-law had to take him to the hospital in the middle of May. And, you know, with all that's going on, taking him to the hospital, he was very weak and stuff. It took him to the hospital, and it was one of those things where they bring a wheelchair out in the emergency room, you know, drive up, and then they take him inside, and they weren't even allowed to go inside to help check him in. nothing. And it was 3 days before one of them could go up there and see him. So this was that was towards the end of May. And he, basically, way back in February, he had started having these AFib issues, and they kept scheduling these procedures. And then in March, the procedures that were scheduled for March kept getting pushed because non-elective procedure, or elective procedures. So he was having things like, the treatment where they go in and shock your heart, and I don't know what it's called, stuff like that. Those things were scheduled for him for in March, and then the COVID stuff started, and anything elective was postponed or canceled. Well, his restarting his heart was rescheduled because it was considered elective. So his health just kept kind of going down, and it kept getting worse because he needed these procedures for his heart. Anyway, if you can tell by the tone of my voice, it didn't end very well. But that was a huge part of what was going on for us in May. So I was still sewing all the time, sewing, more sewing. And then all of a sudden, let's see, this is May 25th, I got into a paper mood. If I ignore the fact that my tooth hurts, will it stop? Incidentally, it did. And that's because I switched back to Sensodyne, and it stopped hurting. This day I actually went to the thrift store, and I got some cool stuff. And one of the books that I got was about the Aztecs, and it reminded me, because I was flipping through it and I saw pictures of Teotihuacan, which is where their Aztec pyramids are, and the Mayan stuff, and it reminded me of a trip that I got to take there when I was in 7th grade with my Spanish class. And so I dug out some photos. These are the only photos I can find, but it just made me think about this trip and the fact that this was an incredible trip. It was 1985. And later that year, in 1985, there was a massive earthquake in Mexico City, which is where we were, Mexico City, Mexico DF. And so much stuff was destroyed. And now it's not necessarily safe to go spend time in Mexico City, but some of the stuff that we got to do, I got to see Teotihuacan, I got to see the Dance of the Flyers, we got to eat in that cave restaurant where Frida Kahlo and Queen Elizabeth have both been. I got to see the actual original Ballet Folklorico in the Palace of Fine Arts building, which is absolutely stunning. I got to go to Chapultepec Park. The new Basilica of Guadalupe had it was only, I think it had only been open like 5 or 10 years. I mean, not a long time, considering, buildings like the Palace of Fine Arts and things were built in the late 1800s. The Basilica of Guadalupe, the new one, was kind of new, and it had these moving sidewalks. And so you would go in, and people would be on either side, and then what they would do is they would throw money down between the sidewalks. I don't know why, but anyway, we got to see the original Aztec calendar, or the calendar stone, the sunstone. Anyway, I just was reminiscing about that, and it was pretty amazing trip to get to see some of that stuff. May 27th, this was when my father-in-law could finally have one visitor, and so he could have one visitor per day. Not one visitor at a time, but one visitor per day. So if my husband went up there that morning, he was the only visitor that could go into the hospital all day. So he and my sister-in-law were taking turns. My husband would go one day and sit with him most of the day, and then leave and go back, and back and forth. And then the next day it would be my sister-in-law's day. So he started collecting these bracelets from all the days that he was going up there. So that kind of started. Apparently on this day, my motivation level was 1 out of 100, and the level 1 accounts for the fact that I'm thinking about doing something. And this was also the day that somebody dumped in our recycle bin, someone dumped 2 bags of garbage. Totally made me mad. And so I got them out, and there was an Amazon box in there with their address in it. So of course I turned them in, and I was so mad. This is me griping and complaining. I put a June calendar in here, which incidentally, we're the same year right now as 1992. So if you have a 1992 calendar, it works too for this year. What's that on there for? I don't know. It's day 2 of no sewing because I'm too lazy to rethread the machine and wind a bobbin. And this is these stick-on, I got these out of the storage unit too. I have tons of sheets of these stick-on letters. This is stuff from a Mantra Wellness magazine. I downloaded one because I can't find them, and I went ahead and subscribed. It's a really cool magazine. Anyway, I downloaded a copy of a PDF copy, and I printed and cut out some stuff from there. This was May 29th. My father-in-law wasn't doing well. I did find this in my Mantra Wellness. It says, "You would be surprised at who is watching your journey and being inspired by it. Don't give up." And it made me think, believe me, it made me think about my YouTube videos. So, but I had a lot going on then with my father-in-law and all that stuff. May 30th, yesterday was a roller coaster, and this was the day that they started discussing hospice and palliative care. And he was going to have a permanent pacemaker put in, and literally, I mean, I won't go into it. It was just, that was the space launch. This is some, let's see, oh, this is the George Floyd stuff that started happening, but I was really more, I mean, I have to be honest, we were making decisions about putting my father-in-law in hospice when all that started. So that was kind of what was going through my head back then. I have no idea how long this video is. Maybe I should split it into 2. So that brings me to this book, which I started and you haven't seen. This is, I made a copy of the cover from one of the Kelly Mae Krenz classes that I did, and maybe I'll put this one in a second video because I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to show you, and things I've been making and things I've been doing, like all kinds of stuff. But I think this video's probably been long enough, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a part 2, and I'll start in this. Which starts June 1st. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start a second video, and I will go through this book, which I've also marked a lot of pages, and show you kind of chronologically sort of things that were going on. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're all safe during this weird time in our world, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.